Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I hope you guys are having a fantastic Wednesday. It's a beautiful Wednesday. You see that sun shining? We're sprinkling some goodness on you. And what we're going to be talking about today is, who's the real enemy here? Let's get into it. So the enemy right now is that thing that's tearing us apart from a society standpoint, from a loving each other standpoint, to a understanding standpoint, and a coming together standpoint. And that would be news media. And it doesn't matter if you follow newspapers, doesn't matter if you follow magazines and tabloids, doesn't matter if you follow social media, or you're watching any sort of media on TV. At the end of the day, unfortunately, our mainstream media is pushing a narrative. They're pushing either one side or the other. They have a narrative and agenda that they want their viewers to buy into. And unfortunately, in pushing that agenda and in pushing that narrative, they're not always reporting the truth. They're only reporting one side of the story. And this is where it's starting to get a little bit dangerous. And it's becoming dangerous because unfortunately, it's tearing us apart. And it's leaving people in a position where they've been reliant on the news for a very long time, and they had a lot of trust in the news. And unfortunately, regardless of what news outlet somebody may be listening to, that news outlet has a narrative and an agenda to push, and that's how that outlet makes money. So sometimes what it takes for them to earn money is pushing a false narrative, something that isn't true, and it's to get more views or get more people buying into these news stories that they're ultimately reporting, even though they're not all based on 100% fact. And so what it really takes and how things are going to start to change is people are going to have to start digging deeper into these journalists, into these news media outlet sources, and seeing if they have a bias or don't have a bias. And this can also be tricky too, because unfortunately, journalists get a lot more publicity from negative news than they do positive news. Now, I'm not saying every single news story is going to be positive, but when you hear and start to put little phrases into an article, or you start to leave out certain things in an article that should probably be there to complete the whole story, what ends up happening is people are not getting the whole truth. And unfortunately, when they're not getting the whole truth, they're only seeing one side of it. Therefore, when they start to have conversations about topics that are very big and popular right now, they're only getting one side of it. And unfortunately, what that's causing people to do is have a closed mind. So ideally, what needs to happen is not only are people digging into the news outlets and the journalists, but they're coming at everything they read with a grain of salt and a sense of openness. Because if we continue to have our news media outlets tear us apart from a unity standpoint, from a love standpoint, and ultimately making the planet a better place standpoint, we're in for a very long, hard road with correcting the issues that are happening today. And how do we really correct this problem? And I think that this is something that we're still trying to figure out, because regardless of what side of the fence you're on in regards to news media, one side's telling the truth and the other side is telling their truth. It's not that either of them are wrong, but they're pushing their side of the message, and that's the audience that they attune to. So I think we have a long way to go in regards to getting honest journalism, but I think that once we start with a sense of awareness and realizing what's happening with news media, we can start to take little changes and make little changes forward in order to create a more honest, open news media outlet source, and one that ultimately the world deserves. So I'd love to hear what you guys think. Drop a comment in the comment section below. Do you think that the media is the enemy? Do you think that they're pushing their own agenda? Or do you think that what they're doing is actually helping a lot of people, and maybe people are just a little bit confused? But other than that, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. Smash that subscribe button if you haven't. It's right there. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. We talk about stuff like this all the time in order to make ourselves better, but also make this planet a better place as well. With that being said, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week. Peace.